What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Saved by the Code, where I discuss technologies rooted in computer code that have the ability to save us from the corrupt fiat money regime. My name is Perry, and let's go. So, I'm sure, as most of you have seen, BlackRock has filed for a Bitcoin ETF, and so have many others followed suit. And this is a move by the traditional financial players of the world to control the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin in particular. If you can't beat them, join them. And that is exactly what I believe this is. I don't know. I'm not in board meetings with these people. However, can it be any more obvious what's going on here? They can't beat Bitcoin. So, what do? You file for an ETF. That's what you do in the traditional financial world in a move to control whatever it is that you want to control. And this is the only way that they know how to control Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is an unstoppable force. They don't know how to do it by any other means other than a good old exchange traded fund. And BlackRock, being the largest asset manager on the planet, of course, would be the just perfect poster child for the first Bitcoin ETF. And I have no doubts that they will be approved by the wonderful SEC that is out to protect all of us from malinvestment. And a bunch of other firms have followed suit. And it'll be so obvious if BlackRock gets approved for the first Bitcoin ETF as to what's going on. I mean, it's already so obvious as to what's going on. However, it'll just be more confirmed if BlackRock, the largest asset manager on the planet with over like $9 trillion in assets under management, which is just such an absurd number, gets approved first, because there have been so many attempts to get a Bitcoin ETF approved by many other firms in the past. And if BlackRock's the first one, man, oh man, won't that just be further confirmation as to how insanely corrupt the SEC is? And so we'll see what happens here. Like I said, I truly believe that they will be the first ones to be approved. They're just gonna take their time here and not approve it immediately. So it seems like they're like reviewing documents and, oh yeah, we're doing it legitimately, this and that. And let's be real, they're not gonna reject BlackRock's filing of a Bitcoin ETF. Like, come on. This is not gonna happen. And like I said, this is just a move to control Bitcoin in whatever way they know possible. This is not an attempt to better anybody's lives but themselves, and control something that is uncontrollable in their eyes. And it is. They can't tame it, and so they're going to tame it in whatever ways they know they legally can. I guess it's just a pathetic move, honestly. But it's a good thing. It's a net good for Bitcoin. I mean, BlackRock, the largest asset manager on the planet, wants a Bitcoin ETF. I mean, and this means that they actually have to own actual Bitcoin. It's a physically backed ETF, meaning that they have to actually own the underlying asset that's being traded within this fund. And so that means they have to buy Bitcoin, or I'm sure they already hold it, so maybe they'll just use their current holdings. However, in the eyes of the rest of the world, this will legitimize Bitcoin in a way that has not been previously seen. And so this means lots of money going into Bitcoin from people that were hesitant to buy it, from institutions that were hesitant to get into it, all those things. This means good for the price of Bitcoin, the exposure of Bitcoin. However, what? Come on. I mean, how much control are they going to get over Bitcoin by having an ETF? I mean, the decentralization of the mining, the amount of people that own Bitcoin, the amount of politicians that are in Bitcoin, all that stuff. It's such a decentralized, unstoppable force that, I mean, this is kind of a way to control it, but it's by no means like controlling Bitcoin, if you catch my drift. And so, I mean, that's all this is, though, is a pathetic attempt to join a force or try to control a force that they cannot tame. And the wild thing here is that Coinbase would be the custodian of the Bitcoin in this ETF. And Coinbase is currently in a lawsuit with the SEC, and BlackRock's trying to get a Bitcoin ETF approved by the SEC. This is just the joke of a world that we live in. And they just do these things out in the open now. Oh, we're going to sue the custodian that you want to hold the Bitcoin that you're trying to get approved for an ETF. It's just so... I mean, it makes sense, honestly, in this clown world that we live in. In the clown world, that makes total logical sense. In the rational world, it doesn't, but in the clown world that we live in, that makes perfect logical sense, because up is down and down is up, and 2 + 2 = 5 in the clown world. And this is no surprise. And so I wonder if the largest asset manager on the planet will get a Bitcoin ETF approved by the good old SEC. And it's just typical clown world stuff. But we've already seen the Bitcoin price surpass $30,000 in the past couple days because of this. And if this gets approved, I think this could be the catalyst for Bitcoin going to 6 figures plus. And I'm realistic. I think that is what is realistically needed for Bitcoin to go to prices of $100,000 plus is these type of traditional finance acceptance moves, if you will, legitimizing Bitcoin in the eyes of retail investors, in the eyes of traditional finance people. This was inevitable, that large players that control our world were going to get into Bitcoin if it got large enough. And it is to that point to where Bitcoin is a big boy now. Big boy, big girl, whatever. This was just inevitable that players like these were going to get into Bitcoin in this fashion. And like I said, I'm realistic. I'm not thinking that Bitcoin is this underground thing that's gonna take down world governments and everyone's gonna be wonderful and happy and freedom money for everybody, and the US dollar will just dissolve into nothing and Bitcoin will be everything. And I would love a world where that is the case. However, I don't believe that is realistic in at least the short term. I don't know, maybe in 100 years, Bitcoin will be the world standard. Who knows what 100 years, what the world will look like. However, in the short term, 10 years, 10 years, these things are going to happen. And it is a net good for Bitcoin. The exposure it gets, the legitimacy it establishes in retail investors' minds, in institutions' minds, and BlackRock got an ETF for Bitcoin. We need to get into that. It's been legitimized, so now we can get into it because the SEC finally coming around, and all this nonsense with all these lawsuits and securities and this and that. The wild thing about Bitcoin, though, is that the SEC can't even say it's a security legally. Like, they can't, because it's so decentralized and there's no issue over it. There's no creator of it. There's no Bitcoin office. There's no company behind it. It's just, who are you going to sue? You're going to go sue a computer? Hey, we're taking you to court, Mr. They just have a court on, or they have a Bitcoin miner on the stand. They're just questioning it. Like, okay, what a joke, But in the clown world, that wouldn't surprise me if they actually took a miner to court. Like, that would just make total logical sense in the clown world. However, thankfully, we haven't got to that point yet. But I'm sure. Like I said, that just wouldn't surprise me if they actually took a computer to court. Which I'm sure we'll see in the coming years with AI and all that. Taking robots to court. So yeah, this is good for Bitcoin. It is. I believe it's a net good. It's a move to control it. However, the exposure it receives and the legitimacy it achieves in the eyes of many people, and this was just inevitable. It's inevitable, Mr. Anderson. Like they say in The Matrix, it's inevitable. And we live in the Matrix, so this was inevitable. And so it's good. It's good. It's got some bads to it, I'm sure. However, it's a net good. Maybe this is the first step to them trying to eliminate Bitcoin. However, in the short term, this will result in significant price appreciation. And so, good for those that own it. And I feel as though this, like I said, will legitimize it in the eyes of many people that were hesitant to get into Bitcoin early on or before this. And so they'll be like, oh, BlackRock got an ETF. It's a legitimate asset class. So maybe I should buy some, or maybe I should get into this ETF, or It just will cause more investment into Bitcoin. That's all this will result in. Because first off, BlackRock has to actually own Bitcoin, and maybe it'll cause others to buy it. So, we're already seeing a price increase as we speak, and I don't think the full effects of this have been priced in. If this gets passed, if this does get approved, which it is inevitable that a Bitcoin ETF will get approved, whether it be BlackRock or someone else. Like I said, who's going to deny BlackRock a ETF? Like $9 trillion in assets under management? Come on. They're having dirty talks with the SEC. That's just how the world works. It's just criminal organizations in power that do illegal things to make things happen and destroy anything beautiful, anything that brings power to people. However, Bitcoin is this thing that they're like, oh crap, what do we do now? So this is their way of controlling it in an attempt to inhibit its empowerment to the people as best they know how, because they're just traditional finance people. They're bankers. They're just criminals. That's what these people are. And this is how they best know how to control the industry, I guess, is suing exchanges and launching ETFs. Because the timing of all this is just spectacular, right? The suing of Binance and Coinbase, and all of a sudden BlackRock just applies for a Bitcoin ETF. Oh, the same week that Coinbase is being sued by the SEC. which is going to be the custodian of the BlackRock Bitcoin. Welcome to the clown world, folks. Up is down, down is up. 2 + 2 = 67. Just another day in the clown world. And yeah, this next story, Valkyrie Investments joins flurry of firms filing for spot Bitcoin ETFs. All of a sudden, a bunch of firms are following in BlackRock's footsteps. Oh, no, we want to be an ETF too. And like I've said many times in the past, this has been tried, even by Gemini, by a bunch of other firms that I can't think of it right now. But it's been tried many times in the past, all of which has been rejected on the grounds that there's too much fraud in the industry, as if there is no fraud in any other ETF on the market today. But I mean, yeah, it's just all these firms following suit. Traditional finance wants Bitcoin. And I have a number of stories here that prove that. All these ETF filings, as well as this new exchange, EDX crypto exchange, launches backed by Fidelity, Charles Schwab, Citadel Securities, Paradigm, Sequoia Capital. A bunch of traditional finance firms are backing this new crypto exchange that's trading Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash is complete trash. It should be called Bitcoin Trash. But look at this timing too. A new crypto exchange backed by Fidelity and all these banking institutions. Like, the timing of all this is hilarious. And those that are not blind and deaf can see how obvious all these moves are in an attempt to control the industry. Sue Coinbase and Binance, but this new exchange backed by all these banking institutions is okay. And BlackRock submitting an ETF application, that's fine. It's just such a joke. And it's gotten to the point where governments and institutions and all these organizations, SEC, FDA, whatever, IRS, just do things in the open now because they're just like, what's going to happen? Nothing. We can continue operating no matter what we do. Who cares? Just another day in the clown world. Another thing here, Deutsche Bank awaits regulatory approval to offer digital asset custody services. They want to be able to hold your crypto. Control the industry. Wow, look at that timing. What do you know? It's so obvious, it's nuts. Oh my. Just another day in the clown world, folks. Do-do-do. Yeehaw. Alright, enough of that clown world nonsense. On to the logic world. I don't know. CleanSpark acquires 2 Bitcoin mining campuses, allowing for expansion of hash rate and mining capacity. The mining industry just continues expanding, just continues growing. The difficulty in mining continues going up because of how much competition there is and how much money there is to be made. And also, I believe how people just want a new financial system. Sure, there's money to be made, but the people behind these operations, I can assure you, are interested in an alternative to the BS that we have to deal with in today's world. But yeah, 6,000 new miners, multi-million-dollar operation, another one popping up. Love to see it. Love it. Just spitting in the face of the New York Times and all these insane news outlets claiming that Bitcoin is this horrible thing that's consuming all this energy and burning the world alive. Just another massive mining operation popping up. It's beautiful to see. It just doesn't stop. And I just love it. Just continues to happen. You just see these stories constantly. Like these massive Bitcoin operations continue to pop up, even in the face of these ridiculous stories that Bitcoin is the only thing on the planet that consumes massive amounts of energy and just is causing forest fires, whatever, causing babies to explode. I don't know. They'll say anything. Babies are spontaneously combusting because of Bitcoin mining. People would believe it. That's the nutty thing, is that if there was a headline, if there was a story released by the New York Times that said that, people would believe it. They'd be like, babies are blowing up. Wanda down the street would tell Cindy with their Facebook and YouTube degrees that babies are exploding because of Bitcoin mining. Another story here relating to that mining expansion. Iris Energy is a 100% renewable Bitcoin mining operation. Just so happens to be failed. It is never mentioned by any of the New York Times articles or any articles stating how bad Bitcoin mining is. Iris Energy uses 100% renewable energy and is expanding their Bitcoin mining operations by not 21%, but 63%. That's massive. Massive. All using renewable energy. So, F you, New York Times. Go do whatever to yourself. Go pleasure yourself. It's just beautiful to see. And they never mentioned Iris Energy. It is just proof that Bitcoin mining can operate on total renewable energy sources that don't plume smoke into the air and destroy the environment like you claim it is. So awesome to see. The Bitcoin mining industry is as strong as ever and expanding, getting more and more decentralized by the day, more and more unstoppable by the day. And how do you stop something like this? Like, how do you? You have all of these mining operations around the world that continuously expand and are in different geographic locations around the world, and you just can't stop it. The only way you could stop it is if governments did collaborate and make it illegal. That would put a big hamper on things. That really would. However, you can't do that because of how many people own it, how decentralized the mining industry is, how much money there is to be made in it. These governments care, and these people that want to stop it care about money more than they do about stopping something like Bitcoin. And so you can't. And I mean, just how do you stop a currency backed by literally energy? Like, energy. Like, how do you do that? And Henry Ford already talked about this back in the 1920s or like the 1915s. He was like, currency backed by energy. And he wanted to do this backed by like the biggest energy plant in the world, whatever, coal plant, nuclear plant, whatever. I don't even know if nuclear was around back then, but he discussed this idea. However, of course, back then, didn't have the technology for it. It would be centralized. The key here is decentralization, and the availability of the internet and technology to decentralize this thing to the degree to which it is today, which makes it so ridiculously unstoppable. And it continues every single day with the expansion of these mining operations, and it just won't stop. Like, it's past this point of being stoppable. Like, it's reached that. It's far surpassed that. long ago. And I mean, we're at the point to where you just can't stop Bitcoin. Like, it's an unstoppable force. And so I've tried to entertain ways in which it could be stopped with like quantum computing and AI and whatever, nation states making it illegal. But I mean, like moves like BlackRock wanting a Bitcoin ETF. I mean, the largest asset manager, that just tells you everything, that there are no plans of making it illegal or trying to eliminate it by governments. I mean, you can't on the legal front or whatever they'd want to do. Quantum computing can't stop it, because if you crack Bitcoin's cryptography, all you do is just make a new cryptographic algorithm. I mean, the blockchain has the history of transactions all right there. That will never be erased. Maybe a quantum computer would be able to come in and take some people's Bitcoin. However, it would be immediately noticed, and the good guys would also have the like if quantum computers came along, there will be quantum cryptographic algorithms. There will be the ability, it's just like right now, like there are algorithms that cannot be cracked with today's computer technology. Like it can be attacked and tried to be taken down. However, the good guys also have the technology to put digital fortresses up. Like that's just what cryptography is. It's just like a digital fortress of numbers, basically, that these people trying to break it are just like knights at the castle wall. Just imagine like a wall of numbers, and just like they're trying to break in, shooting arrows at it and throwing bombs at it, but they can't get through it. And it just like would be the same thing if you had a quantum computer come along. The good guys would have quantum computing algorithms, cryptographic algorithms. The castle wall would just be thickened. You know, I mean, it just. So the quantum computing threat isn't even a threat. People say there's all these scary news articles. Oh, Bitcoin will just disappear and go to zero because of quantum computing. I don't see that as the case. I mean, I'm not a cryptographer. But I just don't see that being the case, because the good guys will also have the technology, will also have the fighting power. All right. So, Bitcoin's unstoppable. All right. Moving on. Let's see here. Whatever stories do I have? Don't want to make these too long anymore. Apparently, in Mexico, a large retail giant is adopting Bitcoin Lightning Network and Bitcoin payments. Massive exposure. I mean, these things just happen like not daily, but like almost daily and like weekly now. And it's just like a normal thing now. Like if these things happened back in like 2016, 2017, it'd be like, oh my God, Bitcoin is being accepted at this place. What? Now it's just a regular thing that doesn't even move the price. And these things are just going to keep adding up and keep adding up and keep happening until it just all of a sudden is just Bitcoin is everywhere, and it's just gradually then suddenly, like, is how I think this is happening. And it happens, it's if you pay attention, these things are happening everywhere around the world. You know, Bitcoin's being accepted for payments by real estate, by retail giants in Mexico, like this story states. What is it? Grupo Salinas. It's like a massive Mexican conglomerate, the third largest Mexican conglomerate. It's pretty big. I mean, that's massive exposure. Like, just the amount of exposure that Bitcoin has received in the past couple of years is massive. It may not seem like it right now. Like, the price is suppressed, you know, not many people talking. It's just like, oh, Bitcoin. It's just so normalized now almost. Like, everybody knows about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's legal tender in El Salvador, Bitcoin accepted by these retail giants, Lightning Network, adoption here and there, and BlackRock just filing for a Bitcoin ETF, no big deal, just the largest asset manager on the entire planet wanting a Bitcoin ETF. The mining industry just continuously expanding. I mean, you just pay attention and you see that this thing just continues to, I don't want to say infect because that's such a negative connotation, but it's like a virus. Like it's literally just like a benevolent virus, if you will, just infecting the world with its goodness. If that makes any sense. But it's true. It's just like slowly just overtaking the world because like it's just popping up in these geographic areas and just expanding. It's like a virus. It is. And it's a good virus if those exist. Bitcoin is a good virus that's infecting all of us. Get infected with the Bitcoin bug, baby. You want it. All right. I love this story here. New York City spa gets heat for heating with Bitcoin mining. Apparently there is a spa in New York City, in Brooklyn, that heats their pools by the heat generated by the Bitcoin mining machines that they have on site. Wild. So great to see. And they got a bunch of crap for it by people that are just closed-minded. I'm not going to say bad words about them. They just are closed-minded. That's what it is. It's just closed-mindedness. Like these are the kind of people that just think they see Bitcoin use energy, Bitcoin bad. That's what happens in their brains. No further research, no further thought process, nothing. They just say Bitcoin energy, Bitcoin bad. Like a quote here said, one user of the bathhouse, "This makes me like bathhouse less. Now I'm concerned about who is mining this cryptocurrency, who is profiting from it, and whether I support that. We're going to need some transparency." Just your typical Karen. And you know this person has a bank account and they use US dollars that are the most corrupt thing on the entire planet. They use tons of energy, and I'm sure they don't think about any of those things, and they use energy at their studio apartment in New York City. They put up Christmas lights every year. They have a laptop that uses energy. They have a car that consumes energy. But Bitcoin mining that's heating the pools at their bathhouse that they go to, just terrible. Like, what a joke. So yeah, they got some flack for this apparently. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I would go to these places just because of that. Like, I'm not like a spa. Like, spas are nice. Like, I don't go to a spa regularly, but if I lived in New York City and I heard about this, I would go to this bathhouse just because they use it, Bitcoin mining, to heat their pools. It's great. But that's just me. I guess I'm just a crazy person. So yeah, awesome. Love it. New York City spa heating their spa with Bitcoin mining. The water circulates through the miners apparently to cool the miners, and the heated water comes back out. That's wild. That's freaking awesome. Like, that's so cool. I think that's amazing. All right. That does it for this video. I keep forgetting to type in the Babylon Bee before I start these videos just to end it on a positive note. The greatest source of truth on the planet, the Babylon Bee. Oh, let's see here what we can find. Oh. Let's. Oh. Zelensky admits he already spent the next 3 accounting errors. Apparently, it has been revealed that an accounting error was inadvertently sent another $6.2 billion to Ukraine. President Zelensky admitted that he's already spent it. All the money from the accounting error as well as the money spent from the next 3 accounting errors. Quote, I need the U.S. to please produce more accounting errors quickly, said Zelensky. We are out of money again, and we will need these to kill Russians and pay off the mortgage on my island resort. Democracy and freedom depend on it. You heard that here, folks. Ukraine is suffering. We need another accounting error from, I'm sure, the wonderful IRS. Oh, it says here, at publishing time, Hunter Biden had contacted officials in the Ukrainian government promising another accounting error from the big guy next week. So, we can all rest assured tonight that there will be another accounting error and Ukrainians will be just fine from the money out of your pocket. You know, I think it's a terrible thing what's happening over there. However, what about what's happening here? You know, sure, I'm all about helping people. However, you got to help yourself before you can help anybody else. And this country ain't no peach. I'll tell you that much. Just take a look outside. All right, that does it for this episode. I thank everybody who's listened the entire way through. Thank you. I hope you're all doing all right out there. If you like the video, subscribe, leave a comment. Hate the video, dislike the video. I don't care. Actually, I do care. Why would I say that? Sometimes we just say things that we don't mean, and that was one of them. Alright, thanks, and until next time, I do bid you farewell on your journey.